It's November again, so I'm playing some Half-Life, and I've elected to finish all of the expansions this year because, I don't know, I just wanted to. So, in this video, I'll be covering Blue Shift, Opposing Force, and Decay. Also, throwing in the standard Randy's greasy comment. Check out the USB incident. I didn't know what that was until a few days ago. Now I do, and I'm worse off for it. Now, on to... Decided to start with Blue Shift because apparently it was short and I haven't played any of it before. In Blue Shift, you play as a cursed looking Barney Calhoun as you try to find your way out of the Black Mesa facility. I'm going to cover these games chapter by chapter like I did in the first Half-Life video, so... It's a tram ride, but hey, you get to see more of Black Mesa before the Resonance Cascade. Man, this is basically the same as the start of Half-Life 1. Anyway, you make your way into the facility, get your armor and Beretta? It's a Beretta now. Why do you think they changed it? Is it because now with the newer computers they can make more rounded models? The SMG was already pretty round, they changed it to it. Doesn't matter. You get to work and aim to fix an elevator and witness the Resonant Cascade falling unconscious. The real game begins with you fighting some hound eyes as you begin to fight your way to the surface. The major set pieces for this chapter are the chemical waste gate where you have to blow up some barrels to get through the gate, a box puzzle that took me far too long to figure out because I was overthinking it, and a waste disposal system that you need to break to progress. Already I can feel that this was originally designed for a console because from my time with the PS2 version, I found that you really need to rework the game to better suit a controller because the verticality present in Half-Life 1, such as the first fight with a HECU, doesn't work that well with the controller. So the areas need to be flatter to prevent any unnecessary looking up and down, which wasn't that great with the bad auto-aim systems of the time. The HECU are here, and I suck at fighting them. You finally make your way to the surface and begin your search for Dr. Rosenberg. The three big arenas are all open with a good amount of cover. I did find the storage room door a little bit cheap with it just basically being an insta-kill for your first time. I also found the turrets to be not that useful in the first arena because I've never really liked how the turrets work in Half-Life 1. I've always found them a bit clunky. Anyway, you eventually find Rosenberg and lead him to an old teleporter facility so you and other remaining scientists can try to leave Black Mesa. But the teleporter needs to be realigned, so you're sent to Zen. As always, Zen is a mixed bag. I found the cave fights to be not that great because there's no one really to maneuver around enemies and their attacks. The fight around the focuser was better, as well as other fights I had, but I did get stuck for a moment because I didn't know that the roof of the cave near the focuser opened up after the fight. I feel like this could have been telegraphed better to the player with like the cave itself opening up with a lightning strike from the focuser, so you wouldn't be able to get into the cave beforehand because I did that and I got confused on where to proceed. I think Focal Point and this chapter should have been swapped around, because in this chapter you turn on a generator and charge a battery for the teleporter so that it can teleport the science team and you out of Black Mesa. I feel like this would have given a better explanation to why the teleporter still works after years of neglect, other than luckily still having enough charge left for one trip to refocus it. I'd say that this is also probably the hardest chapter in Blue Shift because you're inside again, so it's not as open, and alien grunts are becoming more common. The puzzle for turning on the generator has you needing to flush the water and move some barrels into a line, reflood the generator and run across the barrels to turn on the generator. In instances like this, I like to picture characters as thinking people and just see how their actions would be interpreted inside of the world. Of course I didn't clear out the generator. There. Just gotta turn the damn thing off. No, there it is. Yep, water's going down. Just fucking move, you pieces of... Okay, there we go. Let's hope these damn things will actually float. I'm not doing that again. Anyway, once the generators are on, you charge what looks like a car battery in an electricity tunnel, very scientific terms, and send it up to the scientists. Don't know why these chapters are split up, they shouldn't be. With the battery, the scientists begin to teleport out of Black Mesa one by one, with the HECU only showing up to stop your teleportation, but they're easily ignored. You teleport around a bit, seeing stuff from Half-Life 1 and random Zen places, but you eventually stabilize and you leave Black Mesa with the scientists. Overall, I'd say Blue Shift is alright. It's a lot shorter than I was expecting it to be, and the fact that it's originally designed for consoles is very evident while you're playing it. Anyway, on to... Apparently, this is the best expansion pack that was released for Half-Life, so let's find out. In Opposing Force, you play as Adrian Shepard, who was sent to clean up the mess at Black Mesa. Your chopper is shot down by Zen forces, and you wake up and begin to make your way through the facility, trying to meet up the rest of the soldiers sent for the cleanup job. The game begins with a chopper crash on your way to Black Mesa. Luckily for you, you are saved by a scientist who asks for your help and then sends you on your way. As you make your way through the facility, you come across head crabs, vents, and a laser puzzle, which was much better explained than the box puzzle from Blue Shift. You reach the surface and turn off the power so you can reach a radio and get your first gun, the Desert Eagle. I always found it weird that you get the Desert Eagle, which is a Python reskin, to the Glock, which is your standard pistol. Anyway, you get to a radio and hear that the army is pulling out. And now we're back underground for my least favourite part of the game, because I, for some reason, suck at it. The two set pieces for this chapter has an exploding platform with rising radioactive waste that I always get killed at least twice because I always stand where the floor is about to blow up. And the second is a platforming section over some radioactive waste that I always die twice in because I fall into the waste. Once you're through that, you board a tram and venture deeper into the facility. This chapter is when the game begins to pick up, as well as being the chapter that stumped me the first time playing it. Once you get off the tram, you get the Glock and begin making your way through maintenance tunnels and vents, fight the new zombie evolution and enter the offices. This is the area where I got stuck for a bit my first playthrough. To proceed, you need to push a box and break your way into some vents. Now, in every other instance of something like this, the box is only needed once. But for this chapter, you need to reuse the box several times to get to different vents. This goes against the game's teaching, and it confused me on my first attempt. I'm gonna blame Randy for this. At the end of the offices, you hear some soldiers breaking through a door, and now you get to experience everyone's favourite type of gameplay, dealing with NPCs. The soldiers are controlled through the same system as the Barneys and the scientists, and depending on their class they can either heal you or place bombs. However, this is still 1999 AI, so you're babysitting them if you need them to progress, and make sure you don't quick save at the wrong time and end up in a death loop. Now, this is a great combination with the new enemies. the Spec Ops, which are just reskinned HECU grunts, so treat them as such and you'll be fine. The chapter begins with you fighting through the last of the officers with your team, until you get separated from them and fight through some toxic goo and tech stuff to get back to the surface and help an injured soldier. Then you fight the Spec Ops with your new team until you get separated from them again, so you're pretty much back where you started off. I'm not spending time on the fact that you can kill Freeman because you already know that. Instead, I'm going to talk about how dumb I am. Apparently, somewhere in this chapter, you can get the Displacer Cannon, one of the new weapons. I don't know if it's in the facility before you jump, or if it's somewhere in Zen, because I didn't find it, and I only noticed I didn't have it a couple of chapters later, and I didn't feel like going back for it, so I just cheated it in. Don't really have much to say about this chapter. It's rather short and it's mainly just swimming through different parts of the facility. This chapter reminds me of questionable ethics with the aliens in cages, sort of terrarium zoo enclosures, and Zen taking over parts of the facility. Anyway, this chapter is when I realised I forgot the Displacer Cannon, so I cheated it in. But more importantly, you get some new alien weapons, or at least this is the point where I start using them. You get a weird recharging blue thing, a grenade launcher thing, and a barnacle that is way less janky than I thought it would be, though it's still pretty janky. I might as well bring up the new aliens now. There's the one that reminds me of the soldier, and there's a smaller and a bigger variant of that. I know these things have actual names, but I don't remember them and I don't really feel like browsing the wiki to figure it out. Anyway, I find these things much better to deal with than the Spec Ops, so at least I'm having a much better time in these levels that are mainly populated by them. I guess Gearbox was running out of ideas, much like me writing this script, because this chapter is basically a reskin of Blast Pit. Find a big monster, go to 2 different rooms, turn stuff on, turn on big machine, monster dies. It's a 3-way war between the HECU, Spec Ops and aliens, so the game mainly becomes one combat encounter after another with very few puzzles. Most of the combat encounters all blur together in my mind, other than one, the darkness one. You enter a tunnel and it's pitch black and full of these big things that kill you quickly. Luckily, you have night vision that helps, but I don't know if I was missing something or if it's just deliberately this hard, but you just get killed near instantly by these things, so I didn't have a great time during this part. I mainly just ran through as quickly as possible and shot the Displacer Cannon to try to deal with anything that stopped me. More war with broken buildings. The set piece for this chapter is a big howitzer cannon thing. I don't know. It doesn't work as well as the airstrike from Half-Life 1 because it's not very clear where you're going to shoot, and you also get to blow up a Spec Ops chopper. The chapter ends with you disarming a nuke with a single button press, which is a bit anticlimactic. Here's a reminder of why you don't quick save when you have 6 health and you're in combat. Anyway, the final boss is a stationary alien thing. You shoot it in the eyes and a weird space orb in its chest until it dies. After it's dead, you get teleported into a chopper where the G-Man puts you into stasis, ending the game. So initially I was gonna include Decay in this video, but I haven't finished playing it yet, and I doubt the video would be out in time if I spent time finishing it, so hopefully I'll get it done soon, but it'll probably be late December, early January at this rate. Talia.